Okay. So you are trying to find the best way to get no muddy vocals. That was a really weird way of putting it. You don't want any muddy vocals, and so I'm gonna give you the first tip on how to do that. You wanna make sure that you're getting your microphone in the right recording environment, as well as recording at a good distance away from your microphone. Because the problem is that when you get too close to your microphone, there's something called the proximity effect, which you'll hear a lot in radio and podcasts, where basically people sound really boomy, their voices sound really deep. But the thing is, when it comes to your voice, you wanna get as natural of a voice as possible, because when it comes to music, people actually want to enjoy listening to you, right? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna sit down. Bending over too much is too difficult. Narrow sip club. Second thing that I mentioned is getting in a good environment. Now, if your microphone is placed in a room that is too close to the corner, what's gonna happen is that the bass frequencies within your voice and just the room in general is going to get trapped within that corner, because bass frequencies, for whatever reason, like to be in the corner of rooms. So a good place to put your microphone when you're actually recording is in the middle of your room, the dead middle. This is going to avoid those bass frequencies and just any other frequencies reflecting off the walls, because the further distance you are away from any walls, there's gonna be less reflections that could actually be heard in your recording. Oh my god, my hair. Now, I don't like always follow that rule, but it definitely is a good rule to follow, because it's going to help you with your recording regardless. It's just gonna make it cleaner. And also, in general, just record in a well-treated room, guys. If you're recording in the place that's like your living room, where there's reflective surfaces all over the place, or even like a bathroom, I don't know why you're even recording in the bathroom. Why are you doing that? You want to be in a place that has as much things that can absorb sound, because if you're not, you're gonna get those reflections, and it's just gonna be a terrible recording to begin with. A good vocal recording is going to make or break your mix, so you want to make sure that the recording process is the first thing you're thinking of when getting a good vocal mix. I'm so close to the camera. Woohoo. What's up, geniuses? My name is Adriel Rivera. Welcome back to the channel where you learn to show your genius. I was working on the script for this video and just some other stuff in general. That's why I got my backpack on. That's why I got this little sip club drink here. This video is not sponsored by Panera, but it is supported by those of you that help out by taking part in the Vocal Genius mixing course that I do have links in the description. If you want to get good at vocal mixing, in that course I share every single one of my tips and techniques that I use to get my songs to a good quality vocal, and all these techniques are what have helped me get 4 million streams across platforms on all of my music. And though I can't guarantee that you're going to reach those heights, I can guarantee that those tips that I share is what's going to help you get to that quality radio sound, to be on par with those radio hits. So feel free to check that stuff out, and even to subscribe to this channel helps so much. All right, next thing you want to do to make sure that your vocals are not muddy is to cut from between 250 hertz to 500 hertz when you're doing your EQ. And if you're not already EQing your vocals, what the heck are you doing, man? Because EQ is what's actually going to shape the sound of your voice. You're going to be able to pick specific frequencies that work really well with your voice, but then also target those frequencies that do not sound good at all. Now, for me, my voice, I know, has this little muddiness around that frequency range, and for you, it might vary a little bit. But when it comes to mixing vocals for myself and other people, I've always found that that range right there is typically where that muddiness lies, and I like to cut out just a little bit from there. And the one thing I want to mention is that you don't want to overdo EQ or just any effect when it comes to vocal mixing or just mixing in general. You want to use these plugins and effects with intent, and if you're EQing out too much sound in your voice, it's going to sound really weird, even if it's a muddy frequency. Your voice needs every single frequency, even the muddy ones, to sound natural, but you just want to make sure that you're adjusting it so that some of that muddiness goes away. So just to give you a quick example, let's hop into FL Studio really quick so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so here's the project file for my song called Even Good People Break Hearts. I'll play it really quick so you can give it a listen. If you like the song, feel free to check it out. Link in the description.
You deserve to be with someone who only brings you peace, someone who would work to meet your needs, and who you could trust with your body.
All right, cool. We're gonna go look over the EQ real quick, because like we were talking about, cutting from between 250 to 500 hertz is a good place to get that muddiness out. We're gonna solo out the vocal real quick so you can hear how it sounds like just the vocal.
You deserve to be with someone who only brings you peace.
And I think that's mixed pretty decently, but if you look over here, because we have this cutout, it's taking out some of that muddiness that's within the vocal. So if we reset this and you just listen to it without this frequency specifically cut out, I'm also going to turn off these effects so you can hear how it sounds like a little more clearly, and hopefully this gives you a better comparison.
You deserve to be with someone who only brings you peace, someone who would work to meet your needs, and who you could trust with your body.
So it's very subtle, but it definitely helps take away some of that muddiness. And as you can see right here, I also cut out some of the lower frequencies as well, because that helps to take off some of that low end rumble that's not necessarily even present in your vocal. So cutting out some right here, and just extra little bonus tip, cutting out some of the low
low end frequencies over here is going to make your vocals sound less muddy and just more clean in general.
Last thing we are going to talk about is adding, boom, a high shelf filter around the 5,000 hertz range. Basically what a high shelf filter is going to do is bring up the clarity of our vocals by boosting those higher frequencies that are present within our voice. These higher frequencies are responsible for all of those like s and t sounds in our voice, like those higher ranges, and boosting these higher ranges of frequencies is going to bring in some more clarity into our voice, and therefore bringing down some of that muddiness that might occur within our vocal. It's important, again, not to go too overboard with this stuff, because if you boost it way too much, you're gonna hear too much of those S and T sounds. And yes, you could use a de-esser to diminish some of those noises, like the really harsh like S and T sounds, which, by the way, you should be using a de-esser if you aren't already on your vocals. Boosting it too much might just make it sound way too, what's the word? Wincy. It's gonna sound bad. Just don't do it. Don't do too much. Whenever you're mixing, you wanna just make sure that you're tasteful with everything that you do. Do it with intent, do it for a reason. Don't just be slapping things on because you feel like it's gonna be good with your song and your vocal. Don't do that stuff. So if you're using your microphone and you already know that there's too much shimmer in your voice already to begin with, maybe cutting out some of that muddiness like we talked about previously in the last tip might be the way to go. But again, just use your intuition, use your brain, you'll be good. You'll be good. Let's give you an example of this by hopping into FL Studio.
So let me show you how this sounds like when you boost the high end frequencies around 5,000 hertz. You're going to notice that there's a lot more of a shimmer there. And as you can see right here in the EQ, we just have a high shelf boosting these higher frequencies. So if I click play and we have the vocal sold out, so you can just hear the vocal.
You deserve to be with someone who only brings you peace, someone who would work to meet your needs, and who you could trust with your body.
You could hear that definitely adds so much more clarity to the vocal, and that helps combat muddiness that you might hear otherwise. And with the EQ, you can kind of even see right here that the way that this curve is set up, there's less going on in the low end and more going on in the top end. So that is just a good visual representation of what the heck is going on with our vocals. Because there's more high end, there's obviously going to be less muddy and low end going on over here, and in general should call for a cleaner vocal. So these are my 3 tips to help you get less muddy vocals if that's what you're going for. Of course, that's what you're going for. Why else would you be watching this video? I know I talked a lot about EQ in this video because EQ, like I said, is a big thing for vocals. So if you want to learn more about how to use EQ, make sure you check out this video right here and subscribe for more content. Thanks so much for watching. Show Your Genius.